Social role theory emphasizes how our roles guide the direction of our development through our lives. What is a role? How does it impact our development? A role is a set of behaviors that have a socially agreed upon function. It is through these roles that we learn what others expect from us and how to enact our roles. For our social roles have certain role expectations that describe our obligations, expectations, and privileges. As we take on these roles, we start to define ourselves and form an identity based on the roles we hold. These roles are impacted by our age, gender identity, race, ethnicity, family dynamics, socioeconomic status, culture, job and occupations, and history and time period. When we consider what roles we take on, it is important to remember the 4 dimensions. They are recognizing the number of roles, the varying intensity of each role, the amount of time the role demands, and how our role influences our personality. The first dimension is recognizing the number of roles a person is involved in. For example, being a mother, student, wife, counselor. The more roles we are involved in, the more likelihood that our social perspective taking and interpersonal problem-solving abilities increase. The second dimension is how our roles vary on the intensity of our involvement. The more involved we are in a certain role, it is more likely they are more invested in it and will consequently spend more energy on reaching the expectations that role dictates. As we get more involved, our personality is influenced by the pressures associated with that role. The third dimension is the amount of time the role demands. The amount of time we spend in each role helps provide structure for our daily interactions and behaviors. Then the last dimension is how our roles influence our personality. This states that our roles differ depending on what expectations and the degree of consensus about what the role involves. By knowing the dimensions of our social role, it will help us identify how it impacts our reciprocal roles. The function of a reciprocal role is determined in relation to how the other roles support us. An example of this is the relationship of a student and a teacher, or a parent and child. These roles support each other and interact with each other's roles' expectations. Due to the nature of our roles, it can sometimes create a crisis in our lives. For instance, we may experience a spillover. This term refers to the demands of one role interfering with another role. Another situation that might be stressful is role conflict. This happens when the demands and expectations of one role conflict with another role. While these situations may be stressful, it can help us grow. By understanding how our roles impact our development and identity formation can help us understand how our environment impacts our growth. An instance of this can be seen when Mrs. E, a school counselor, tries to help identify why Sarah's grades are starting to slip. She is a junior in high school who likes to play tennis and spend time with her friends. She lives with her mother and 2 younger siblings. Lately, her teachers have noticed that she is moodier, tired, and that her grades are slipping, and that she doesn't seem to be engaged in class anymore. So they ask Mrs. E to help. When Sarah comes in to see Mrs. E, she learns that Sarah is having a difficult time focusing on her schoolwork. Her mother took another job to help pay for bills, so she is responsible for taking care of her younger siblings. She helps them with their homework and cooks dinner for the family. As a result, Sarah is having a difficult time completing all of her assignments and studying. Having an understanding of the social role theory, Mrs. E utilizes it to apply it to Sarah's situation. Reflecting on the number of roles Sarah is involved in, she makes a note that she has added a new role. Not only is she a daughter, sister, athlete, and student, but she is also a babysitter now. Instead of focusing on her homework, she spends more time to take care of her siblings. Wanting to help take care of her siblings, she spends more energy being there for her siblings. As a result, this has changed her level of involvement as a student as well as with her other roles. Furthermore, by spending more time as a babysitter, it determines what she does after school. To meet the expectations of being a babysitter, she spends more time to take care of them. Being a babysitter also impacts her personality. Knowing that her siblings rely on her, she may take a parental role instead of taking on a role as a sister. By taking on the role, she helps her mother provide the support to her siblings her mother used to give. As a result, she has taken on a reciprocal role as a parent to her siblings by providing the help they need to succeed and meet the expectations of their role as students. This may lead to her feeling frustrated because she is experiencing a spillover. Having the demands of being a babysitter has impacted how she learns at school. Whereas she was friendly and engaged in learning, Sarah is upset about the new responsibility of being a babysitter. In addition to this frustration, Sarah is experiencing a role conflict. By taking on an extra role, she doesn't have the time to complete her homework because she has to take care of her siblings. While these issues may aggravate Sarah, we as school counselors can help her explore her situation and discover a solution suitable for her. By acknowledging how our students' roles impact their learning, this will help us understand how they form their identity and the types of expectations they have on themselves. While social role theory provides important insight into our development, there are other theories to consider, such as learning theories. Although learning theories and the social role theory emphasize how environmental factors influence our behavior and development, they focus on different aspects of the environment. Learning theories focus on the day-to-day consequences of our choices and actions, while social learning theory focuses on how society or environment impacts how we interact, define ourselves, and what roles we identify ourselves.